Hi, I'm Matthew Williams and I'm the creator of the Circlemakers video, which, as many of you may have watched it already, I should explain is actually a compilation of an original documentary called Croppies, which I do also feature on this site. So if you want to go and have a look at Croppies, you'll find out how Circlemakers originally came to be. That was a documentary made by Grant Wakefield, and he kindly let me use his footage, because when I saw the documentary I went, wow, nobody's done anything like this before. But I got the impression that obviously a lot more had been said in the interviews than had actually got into the documentary. Television being the nature of how it is, you can't use long interviews unedited, and television wants quick sound bites and lots of change and lots of visual imagery to sort of break things up. And I thought that it was a crying shame that for research purposes the full interviews hadn't been seen, so I wanted to see them. And when I saw them, I was amazed at the level of depth and interest that there was to me as a crop circle maker, seeing other people involved in circle making sitting before the camera and what they had to say. And one thing that came across to me was that, and this is the reason I wanted to make the Circle Makers, is that there were very interesting stories, but also that all of the circle makers were very different people. You know, it's not like we're all sort of particular artists, or we're all computer geeks or whatever it is. There's various different types of people that make up the subject, and they're coming from all sorts of walks of background of life, and their experiences out in the fields. Whilst the circle making is very similar, and it's interesting to see how people talk about things that are there. What I thought was interesting that came out initially from viewing the footage was that people's experiences were of strange things happening whilst making crop circles. So it dawned on me that if I put this into a video and edited, that it might help the cause of the circle makers in telling the truth about what the subject is. And an alarm telling me to take a tablet. So the reason I actually put this video together was to see whether or not people wanted to respond and ask questions through YouTube. I thought it'd be a good way to kind of interact with people. I mean, I think that when people write textual things, they're a little bit sarcastic in the way that they put them across, myself included. I'm totally, totally like that when I write YouTube comments. But I wanted to sort of try a different approach, which would get people to ask proper questions, and then either myself or some of the other circle makers might like to come on YouTube and answer these questions, and that would be an interesting dialogue to get going, so that people could learn more about the subject. And I did want to actually comment on some of the comments which have already gone on YouTube, and see if we can get some sort of reaction back from that. A guy called Alpha445 was asking, can you explain the flying orbs? Well, we've seen a lot of flying orbs. Whilst I've been out making circles, we've seen balls of light, orange in colour, which chased us out of a field one night, and that was quite a scary thing. I can't actually remember if I talked about this in the Circle Makers video now, but we were certainly frightened enough by that experience to leave the field and to not continue making the circle. And we left somebody behind with his boards, and when I went to get the car to come and pick people up, because we decided it was a no-go. We'd sort of seen all this. We thought that these lights, initially, the immediate reaction you get when you see lights are that you've been caught, that there's somebody in that field with torches, and it could be the farmers, it could be hunters, poachers, whatever, but somebody's got you, and they're sort of shining a light on you, so you have to get out of there pretty quickly. And we ran, not using any lights. We ran in complete darkness towards the corner of the field, which we'd already arranged. If anything had happened, that was the place to get to. And when we got down there, I'd actually looked back a couple of times as I was running, and I can remember quite clearly, and I conferred with other people as well, that these balls of light were actually floating across the top of the crop, that they weren't shaking around like you'd get with somebody with a torchlight, and they weren't jumping up and down as you'd get with somebody running. So what that was, I have no idea. But we got out of the field, we left a friend with the boards, and we said, look, we'll drive down with the car, we'll come pick you up with the boards, so we'll flash the lights when we get near you, and you'll know it's us. So driving down the hill, and my friend was actually in the middle of the road, and he was walking up the road, and he was just, it was like as if he was, you know, in a daze basically. And we said, what the hell are you doing? You know, you're in the road. You know, you can't walk up there. He had his boards with him, had the boards in his hand, and I said, what the hell are you doing? If it would been a police car, you'd have been pulled in, and in trouble. And he said, I wouldn't care if it was a police car right now. I'd be really happy, because I've just heard the most weird screaming sounds from where I was whilst you went and you walked away. He said, I've just been hearing the most abnormal sounds, and he said, I just want to get the hell out of here. So, and he swears that if it had been a police car, he would have been quite happy to get in that police car and go off. So we have seen the balls of light, and I've seen and photographed on a couple of occasions balls of light in the area, which are free flying orbs, small things. They're not like you'd imagine this too small for a person to fit inside. So it doesn't seem like your sort of spacecraft. Doesn't seem like that could be the case. So I know that other people have seen a thing that they dub called the Amber Gambler, which is often seen above Golden Ball Hill, which I now understand Golden Ball Hill isn't called Golden Ball because of golden orbs of light. It's actually called Golden Ball because of a type of flower that's there. But nonetheless, strangely enough, above Golden Ball Hill, people do see golden balls in the sky, and above Knapp Hill and Adam's Grave as well, which are in the Alton Barnes area. So there is a lot of this type of activity that goes on, and it does centre, around the area where we create the crop circles. We've come there because of the strange activity and the reports of crop circles, and I think the trouble is, that people will often try to marry the two things together. If you see a UFO, or you have a ball of light sighting, or you might misidentify something from the Salisbury Plain even, which is going on. But if you see something and then the next day there's a crop circle in the field, quite often what people do is they put the two together, and they try to sort of say that crop circle has to have been made by the strange forces, the balls of light, that they're connected together. And I think that's not really a very practical approach, and not a very scientific approach to kind of say, well, we've got a man walking down the street, and we had a murder across the road, so it must have been that man walking down the street. It's like the two things don't necessarily go together. So what have we got? Do you know if the alien face or the alien response circles are proven fake? I don't know about proven fake. Really, when it comes down to crop circles, I think you have to bear in mind that there are circle makers and there are crop circle researchers, and crop circle researchers don't often want to prove things fake. If somebody comes forward from a circle making team and actually says that something is fake, then, well, and by fake we don't actually use the term fake, because what is a fake crop circle? A crop circle is a crop circle. People make crop circles, and is there any proof that any circles are definitely made by extraterrestrials? And there's a lot of supposition and people saying, oh well, I saw this ball of light and this sort of stuff. And there are a couple of very strange stories of people that say, I was standing on the edge of the field looking in there, and then this thing formed in front of me. And it's like, well, taking aside that they could be lying, or they could be seriously deluding themselves, maybe via some sort of mental illness, which this subject does attract a lot of crackpot people, and they're looking for sort of spiritual answers and whatnot, as well as the rest of people who are sort of very interested, nice, aware, new age people. But you do get a lot of crazies, and I've heard people come out with some quite unbelievable stories, things that just